and maybe you don't care about international soccer, or maybe you like the Bundesliga or whatever, but the Premier League is the top league in the world with the highest paid players, and it's rated the highest. Some people argue about the fact that usually teams from other leagues are better in the Champions League, and in winning that particular trophy, the Premier League got a big boost last year by Liverpool winning the Champions League, so that looked good. But one of the narratives for the fact that other leagues have teams that generally win the Champions League, which is the top club tournament in the world, is the fact that they will have one or two teams that are really outstanding. And in the Premier League, there's great competition up and down the line, and that's one of the reasons I really enjoy it. And also, just as soccer is a very tidy entertainment, and the fact that if this is your want, you go to a soccer game, you grab a beer, you sit there, you watch nonstop action. Some people would argue that. I wouldn't. For 45 minutes, you have your beer. Halftime, you go to the restroom, grab one more beer, sit there. You know 45 more minutes of action is going to come. The game is going to end, and you're going to be gone in 2 hours, and you'll have enjoyed yourself. It's to me, one of the great selling points about soccer. And for at-home product for me on the weekend, it's pay attention to the first half of the game, do a lot of stretching during halftime, and then hit the elliptical for 45 minutes during the play of the second half. So that works perfectly for me as well. And this may be just a sort of a personal little thing, but I was very, very happy to have Premier League soccer back, and there were some storylines. And as I mentioned, I am an Arsenal fan. Arsenal won. That was nice, but I watched 3 or 4 other games as well, and now Americans have a little bit more of a reason to watch Premier League soccer if they never did, because Christian Pulisic, the star, the matinee idol of U.S. soccer, now plays for Chelsea, and he came off the bench yesterday on Sunday in his particular debut, made a big deal of it on the television with all the panel shows, which are normally done in New York City. Everybody was over in England to do the particular show, so it was great entertainment for me. I very much enjoy it. And maybe it's not your cup of tea, to use a British analogy, but I was very, very happy. Big smile on my face this weekend because the Premier League was back. It's tough to create smiles for the Kansas City Royals for this season, and now we've probably gotten into a situation where the games purely are exhibitions at this point in time. We'll check out the situation for the Royals in brief. Coming up next, it's the Weekend Sports Wrap. I hope you had a great weekend.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way, and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Get a refreshing change of your expectations of a sports bar and restaurant at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Matt Llewellyn's welcoming spot at Clinton Parkway in Cassold covers all the bases, like their own handcrafted beers and all the televisions you need for great sports viewing. But it's the large, varied, and delicious menu that stands apart. From a favorite of mine like the awesome ahi tuna appetizer to great sandwiches, outstanding pizza, and truly fantastic entrees, the 23rd Street Brewery has it all. Matt and his friendly staff make it that much more enjoyable. Food until 10, fun until late. The 23rd Street Brewery is a can't-miss stop when you are in Lawrence. I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob, be next.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Wrap. As we entered the weekend, it looked like it was going to be a disastrous update for you here regarding the Kansas City Royals here on the Sports Wrap. The Royals had dropped the first two games against the Detroit Tigers, a team that has a decidedly worse record than them, that is barreling towards over 110 losses, yet the Royals at that point had lost 7 of the 8 games they had played at Comerica Park against the Tigers and had already dropped the season series, basically. But the weekend proved to be quite the elixir for the Royals. Head into an off day on Monday with the Cardinals coming to town for what should be a feel-good couple of days at the ballpark as the Royals routed the Tigers in the last 2 games, making them look extra silly and providing some high notes, many of them for people who had already been producing them, but a few, like Mike Montgomery's brilliant start on Saturday, one that sort of was a good pick-me-up for him. Montgomery had struggled mightily as a starter coming over to the Royals, and at 30 years old wasn't proving much that the Royals could look at him as a piece going forward. But then he went out and struck out 12 batters in pitching shutout baseball for 6 solid innings, and the Royals won that game rather handily. So yesterday, Sunday, Jacob Junis heads to the mound. He has not been pitching particularly great baseball. He's been doing enough to give you a little bit of hope and then tossing in another bad game, or pitching 3 good games in a row and then having back-to-back shaky starts. He had been going relatively well in the very recent past, but a couple of games before that had given up 10 earned runs in back-to-back starts. So on Sunday, he went out and pitched very effectively, 6 innings of 2-run baseball, didn't walk anybody, gave up the usual old home run, but the Royals ladled on a bunch of runs late and won the game 10-2 and had a good time doing it. And they have one of the hottest players in baseball right now in Jorge Soler. He hit 2 home runs. He drove in 5 runs in the game, and he is officially on fire. I hate the Soler power little tag that they use for him occasionally, but he has Soler power right now. There's no question about that. Since July 1st, he has hit 12 home runs. He's batting well over 300. His OPS is almost 1,100, and he's got 35 home runs now and is virtually certain, barring injury or an incredible cold streak, to not become the new Royals single-season home run record holder, a record that was just set after the lengthy, embarrassing stretch of having it stuck at 36 home runs at 38 for Mike Moustakas. And it appears that Soler has a crack at maybe approaching 50 the way he's going right now, as he is, particularly in August, been absolutely on fire. And he is, one thing that's amazing is that he is a mistake hitter generally and a fastball hitter generally, and somehow he keeps getting them. I mean, the first home run he hit on Sunday was a 92-mile-per-hour meatball right down the middle. If you do that right now to him, it's going for distance. That was 415. That's not particularly long for him. So a real hot batter in Jorge Soler. Whit Merrifield has picked it back up after a little bit of a flat spot. Most of the news for the Royals, time after time after time, comes from the top of the lineup, and that was the case again yesterday. 2 hits for batters 5 through 9, but the Royals managed 11 hits in the game. 3 for Soler, 3 for Cuthbert. Not Cuthbert. Cuthbert was one of the final 5. 3 for Soler, 3 for Dozier, Alex Gordon 1 for 5, and Whit Merrifield a couple of hits, and he's up to 306. And Dozier, that's a good sign, too. He hit 2 home runs in the game also, and I think he's erased all thoughts that the oblique injury had sort of marked a turning point in the wrong direction for his season, and he has bounced back, and in this hot part of the year, he is certainly yet another hot batter for the Royals. If you don't want to have some good news on your plate, you can certainly get it from some of the other younger players who are hoped-for pieces of the future. Bubba Starling continues to really struggle. He had an 0-for-5 day on Sunday. His OPS is barely over 600, and he continues to struggle at the plate, strike out upwards of 40% of the time to more strikeouts in the game, and it has not been encouraging in any way for him. Yesterday, Nicky Lopez took the day off, and he, for a long, long stretch now, has not been anywhere near the offensive player that he needs to be even be close to a regular in the major leagues. Since July 1st, for him, a complete juxtaposition to Jorge Soler, he has batted below 200, and his OPS is below 500, and that is absolutely unacceptable. You just can't even stay on a major league roster with that kind of offensive production, and he started to strike out less, which is the only good news for Nicky Lopez right now, as the Royals get a couple of wins after that horrendous stretch that had them back barreling towards 110 losses, not just over 100 losses. We'll see if they can, with these guys riding hot at the top of the rotation, top of the lineup. Brad Keller had a fairly shaky start in his last outing, so there's going to be a lot of nights where the Royals are going to have to score runs because their starting pitching just isn't very good. But when they go through a little bit of a run where it's decent, and you get back-to-back starts from Montgomery and Jacob Junis, that you know it's going to be a little bit better news for the Royals. So I thought this was going to be a funeral dirge for Monday's Sports Wrap when the weekend started against the miserable Tigers, but the Royals throw a little ray of sunshine in Detroit, if anybody was paying attention, on a weekend where the Kansas City Chiefs played, of course, real, meaningful, and exciting preseason NFL football. Of course, you can make the case that the Royals games are every bit as meaningless right now as preseason NFL games, but certainly at least over the weekend for the fans who still watch the games in good numbers on television, the Royals provided good entertainment, and they'll have a good feeling, as I mentioned, as they start a homestand against the St. Louis Cardinals. Meaningful chance to be a spoiler. The Cardinals have worked their way into contention in the National League, and who isn't in contention basically as the second wild card, just a handful of games over 500. That mediocrity will cause great excitement, and perhaps the Royals can play the role of spoiler on Tuesday and Wednesday in a 2-game set against the Cardinals. That's the Weekend Sports Wrap. We appreciate you stopping by anytime at DannyKlingscale.com for the wide variety of things that we do here, and appreciate the ever-growing audience that is coming to DannyKlingscale.com. And mentioned it before, if your business would like to be part of the success story, just contact me at Danny@DannyKlingscale.com. Always a pleasure to stop by. Continue to do so, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Doob, an ultra-realistic 3D created figurine depicting you, a loved one, or a special event. Visit them on the Country Club Plaza.